Hello and welcome to Stage Door Series. So today I'm here with Sacha Bratt, and he is directing a show at Playhouse on Park, Miss Bennet, Christmas at Pemberley, and it's a Christmas show.
It's a Christmas show. We made it to the Christmas season.
Yeah, that's fantastic. So tell me, what is this Christmas show about?
Oh, Pat, so good to see you again.
Nice to see you. Yeah, we saw each other last time at the directors where you had the original plays. I remember that, and that was fantastic.
A lot of fun. Thank you. So Miss Bennet is it's a newer play in the last 10 years or less, and it takes place. It's a sequel of sorts to Jane Austen's Pride and Prejudice.
Can you do that? Like, can other authors write a sequel to Jane Austen?
Well, you can once the source material goes into public domain, which is usually, I think, anything before. The year always changes as we go along, so I think anything before, I'm going to throw out 1920 something, but it could be 1914.
And this play is 1815.
1815.
1815.
So this play takes place 2 years after the events of Pride and Prejudice. We get to revisit some of our favorite characters of the Bennet sisters. We have Lizzie Bennet, and Jane comes back, who's now married to Charles Bingley. Lizzie's married to Darcy, and then we're reintroduced to Mary Bennet, who's kind of our heroine in this show. She was more of an afterthought in parts in the original Pride and Prejudice. And in this play, it's 2 years later, where before she would sit in the corner and terribly plunk out piano numbers, she's now become incredibly proficient in piano and in science and in books. And so a lot of this play is about how sometimes in our families we can get pigeonholed into certain things, but we can also grow, and sometimes it takes a little something for people to see that growth in us.
So I've seen different renditions of this show on the internet.
Sure.
We have an internet now. And I noticed that people make Mary in very different ways.
Well, something that the playwright says is that Jane Austen belongs to everyone. So we cast this show with colorblind casting. We cast the show for just the right actors for the part. And what I was really looking for Mary, for all the sisters, for all the actors, is just the person who exudes the right personality of that character, and the rest of it doesn't matter, which is, I think, a great direction that theater is going now, which is it's not so much looking the part as much as is being the part, because these aren't static images. These are full characters, and so Mary is inquisitive, she's incredibly smart, she's not understated, she's bold, again, not who she was 2 years ago.
I would like to meet this Mary.
Oh, she's wonderful.
Yeah,
she's
I'm
a wonderful actor, and we're really so fortunate that we've put together, it's a true ensemble piece. So while we have a heroine of the show who may or may not fall in love with a new character who was not in the original Pride and Prejudice, you'll have to come see it to find out. It's an ensemble show, so you have all these, again, familiar characters, some new ones, and this cast has worked so well together. I wish I could sell tickets to the rehearsal room, because we just had the best time putting this play together, being back in person for many of the actors. This was their first show in person in almost 2 years, and this is not only what they love to do, but what they're meant to do, and I'm really glad that they get to do it again.
And so, I mean, this is the Christmas show, much as you say, Charles Dickens, A Christmas Carol. This is a Christmas show, and it's an old show. It's set in 1815. It's a brand new show, but it's set in 1815. So how does that apply to us? Like, will I be able, is that an old show about old subjects, or will I be able to take something in my life from it?
It's so funny that you should say that, because I love working in new works, as you know. And one of the things about this play, and why I've wanted to work on it, is the language is so smart and dense, and while we're talking about very 2021 issues about equity and equality and science and family, it's doing so through this familiar lens of the Jane Austen world. But it is a new show, and one of the pushes that I made as a director was that I did not want to direct a period piece. I mean, I do. If someone wants to hire me to direct a period piece, I'm happy to.
Didn't you direct Othello? Or
I have directed Othello,
yes,
but and again, you can.
The ultimate in period.
Right, but you can put a period piece. You could put anywhere. The world we built for Othello was could have been easily mistaken for an Iraq war, but it still was Othello. But the tone of it was more modern. And for this play, whether it's music, we took liberties a little bit with music, with costumes, with even with accents, that there's the very strict British accent, or you could do a more modern one. And so at points we purposely blended it to make it a more modern show.
To make it more accessible?
Well,
Would that be a word?
I think it's partly accessible, but I also think that it's where the playwright is taking it to, that the two playwrights, Lauren Gunderson and Margot Melkon, they didn't write a period show. They wrote a 21st century show that just happens to take place in 1815.
So what's the big lesson that the viewer, that I should get out of this? I mean, you talk about Mary, and you talk about the fact that she, in Pride and Prejudice, she was the one behind the scenes, and now she's in front. But what should I get out of that show? Like, what's the take-home message to me?
Well, there's a few, and I don't want to give them all away, but part of them would be one's agency, right? So how much one has a choice in the direction that their life takes, and in a Regency world where status really matters, and we saw that a little bit in Pride and Prejudice. So one of the things that the actors talk about is, even the characters that we know, how much do they change from where they were to where they are now? And that's something else I was playing with a lot and talking to the actors about, is what we see on the surface versus what's underneath. So even the most confident characters have monologues in this play where they talk about feeling less than confident. The most boisterous characters have emptiness inside.
So that's the modernness.
And I think the thing why that ties back into the original is that's always there. I mean, even when we're prim and proper and done up, that we still have all that depth. We just perhaps we didn't write about it or admit to it as much. But there's a good play, a good piece of art has natural conflict in it. So sometimes that conflict is on the macro level. It's in the relationships and the can they, can't they, will they, won't they be together. And then in other parts, that conflict could be within yourself. I'm supposed to act a certain way, but that's not who I am.
You know what, that's very important. I like to hear what you're saying, because my original attraction, not just me, but the world, we're not exactly attracted to period pieces. And I understand that this play in 2018 was the most produced play in America. I mean, that's, and even now there's like 10 productions. No, in 2018 there were 10 productions going on simultaneously. That's really a lot for a period piece.
Right.
I mean, this is not My Fair Lady or
no,
Funny Girl.
And I think that's why from day one I don't think I really used that word period piece with the designers and with because it's easy to fall back into a rigidity that comes with that. But this play it's just full of emotion, and parts of it are farcical and parts of it are just heartbreaking, other parts are heartwarming, and then you see these four sisters who we know through literature. I mean, there's 5, but 4 in this play. Seeing them come together and embrace and be together after 2 years. I mean, there's a speaking about how does it speak to a modern audience. This family has not been together in 2 years. The Darcys were doing their thing, the Bingleys are doing their thing.
And it's not because of COVID.
Well, that's the thing, though. But even coming back, exactly, but how many people who might see this have not seen family members, have not seen grandchildren who were born, have
so
not.
They will relate to it very.
I know that
strongly.
we did. I can't speak. I would imagine that that's possible, because I know just being back in the room, feeling what it was like to direct professional actors in person, for them to find their characters, to work with each other. It was a homecoming. It was really a homecoming for us. I'm so grateful that we get to do this play. I've been wanting to direct this play for several years. It's been kind of on my to-do list, and I'm really grateful for the opportunity.
So tell me, what has Sasha been doing for the past few years? Like, what's been going on? Because you're a director, you're under the same strains, I would assume, as the actors.
I am. Well, the fortunate thing, if there was it was very devastating for the entire theater industry, obviously, and we're the last to come back from COVID, and we're still fighting for audiences to come back and to do it safely and responsibly. Fortunately, I'm also a college professor, so I have found ways. My students, we've done fully virtual shows, we've done live stream shows en masse. We just had our first in-person show this semester. So as someone who found their passion for theater in college, it occurred to me that if I had missed one of those shows, I might not be doing what I do today. So we worked hard in my department to try to give the students the opportunity to keep doing some form of art, some form of theater.
So as a director, do you have, like you said that you were working, that you wanted to do this show for quite a few years. Is there, like, do you specialize in something? Is there something that you say, well, I like comedy, or I like period, or is there something that is particularly Sasha-esque?
Oh man, I don't know how to. Well, I know that in my mind that constantly changes. So when I came out of grad school, I thought I was going to be just a Shakespeare director, but then I started doing new plays, and then I became the new works person, and then I kept doing dramatic plays. Even though I do improv comedy with CT Comedy Theater in Hartford, some people don't know that. So
yeah, I didn't know that. That's new to me.
So they only think that I do.
I thought you were a major drama person. I worked with you. I remember there was a play, and I'm committing suicide, and the crying, and the
There's so much there, right? And I think that's but I it's very. I don't know, no, that's not the right word, but if theater is represented by the tragedy and the comedy, you do need both, right? Things that if you don't laugh, you'll cry, that thin line between all the emotions. And so I think if you're good at one, you should be able to be good at the other. And so I like to play both sides of it. But it's easy to get pigeonholed into one thing. But I would say that if there's one form of, I remember years ago, I thought, what kind of director will I be? And if there's anything that I care about, it's being one who provides a space for the actors to do and the designers and the whole team to do what they do, to be an ensemble-based director, that every part of this needs to work together. I'm not the best actor, I'm not a set designer, but my job is to make sure that everything that everyone sees makes sense together
and
is unifying.
Is unifying.
Yes.
What about Playhouse on Park? You've done a few shows at Playhouse on Park.
I have.
And also you've done the New Works a few years now.
Yeah, we've done the New Works Playwrights on Park reading series. I think we have another one coming up in February. And then
I remember I did that.
You did. You were great.
I enjoyed that. I enjoyed that.
I think it's it's almost like the secret thing that when people come and they hear about it, so we do readings of brand new plays.
And you direct all that. That's
well, we've fortunately now it's grown a little bit, so we've got to bring in outside directors and outside actors, and the program has started to grow. Our last play, which has a word in the title that I can't say.
Okay.
But
I know that word.
Webster's B words. It was such a great play, and it had to do, even that had to do with Noah Webster and the dictionary, so it was tied into the community. But there was another play I directed last year called All Is Calm, The Christmas Truce of 1914, which actually we filmed a year ago today. So this was my pandemic production with Playhouse.
And it was a Zoom.
Well, this was, we Zoomed all the rehearsals, and then we filmed it outside at our farm in Bloomfield. It was 29 degrees. It was a 10-hour film shoot. I've never directed, it was a play, but it was a movie, so I called it a cinematic theatrical experience, because if we tried to make a movie, it wouldn't be a good movie. If we tried to do a play, it wouldn't be a good play.
Not so good. But
so we kind of made it both.
And it worked.
Yeah, and it was our first kind of COVID production, and it's actually being virtually remounted. So at Playhouse on Park, for $20, you can buy a stream of All Is Calm. It did so well last year, and it was a great way to stay connected to the theater community.
You just mentioned the $20.
Yes.
Are there some specials going on with Miss Bennet Christmas at Pemberley? Do you have like some sort of promotional things? I remember hearing about a package that you're selling, or do you remember?
I don't know. I stay out of the box office. I just, but I do believe that there's like student rush tickets. So if you're a student and you can make it there, that there's discounted tickets. And I know they have a lot of different things for sale and probably some promotions, but the ones I know about are the student rush tickets. But other than that, I'm not sure.
The other thing that I heard about, I don't know if you go into the box office or not, but they might extend this run, which means that it's doing very, very well.
So yeah, we just opened this weekend. I think we did well. We're waiting for some reviews to come out, but if things go well, we might get a couple extra performances out of it. Fingers crossed.
And what's next for Sasha Bratt?
Oh, that's a great question. My next production will be at my school. We're going to be doing the 25th annual Putnam County Spelling Bee next spring.
I know that show too. I was in that show.
Really?
Yes.
That's a fun show.
It's a beautiful show.
I love it. I love it.
The music is so beautiful.
It's super fun. Yeah. And then some possible things: fires in the oven.
No.
Irons in the fire. That's it. But haven't signed on the dotted line for those yet. So I don't want to jinx anything else.
And what about Playhouse on Park? Anything else going on there that we should know about?
So this is exciting. Like I said, we have two shows this holiday season. We have Miss Bennet and we have All Is Calm, one in person. And if you're not ready for in person, the other is virtual. And if you have family in California or Idaho or Illinois, you can send them a gift subscription for All Is Calm. And if you're here,
See, there's a little bit in the box office.
that's it. Oh, that's
There's your box office.
I have two plays to juggle here, which
in the fire.
has never happened before at the
Right.
same time. So, but I'm really excited. I mean, I can't tell you, Pat, the joy it was to hear an audience in person. And again, theater's been back. Not that this is the first show back, but again,
But you still have to wear masks.
masks in the theater,
It's
bring your
mandatory.
vaccination card because they are checking those at the theater door. And then once you get inside, everyone just has a great time, and it's been beautiful. And it's a funny show. It's a heartfelt show. I think
Okay,
everyone's
you
going to
sold
enjoy
me.
it.
I'm
Great.
gonna go.
Awesome.
I want to go.
I'm going back. I don't even have to.
I'm coming
Yeah,
with you.
good. Let's do
Okay,
it.
so the show is from December 1 to December 19.
That's right.
With a possible chance for
We'll see.
more shows.
Hope so.
That's what I'm hearing.
Yeah.
You
got good sources.
Yeah, you're the last to know, I
I
guess.
think
You're
so,
the last
yeah.
to know. And Playhouse on Park. And I guess the last thing to say is be there. Thank you, Sasha.
Thank you, Pat.
Thank you.